Okay, hello friends, welcome to Medicine 101. Today we'll talk about irreversible cell injury from the very basics of the pathology aspects. Before uploading this video, let me tell you, I already uploaded the video on the based on cell injuries. Okay, then I did upload another one, reversible cell injuries, and today I'm going to upload irreversible cell injuries. Okay, cell injuries mean what? In terms of the reversible injuries, just try to remember I said you over there that if we just remove the causative agents, the cell can back to the normal form. But in terms of the irreversible cell injury, if we just remove the causative agents, then the cell will be not in the back form. Okay, so there will be a death of the cells over here. Now, see, the irreversible can divide into two ways. First of all, think about this thing. For example, if we see that for the irreversible cell injury, if we see the problem on the mitochondria, so if we say in terms of the mitochondrial dysfunction, if we see mitochondrial dysfunction, okay, as a result, which whenever the mitochondrial dysfunction will be over there, so there will be leakage of the one type of the enzyme cytochrome C within the cytoplasm. So we'll see that cytochrome C leakage where within cytoplasm. As a result, ultimately we'll see what there will be apoptosis. So this is the programmed cell death over here, okay? And what about another type? Like for example, if we say, I already said it over here, the most common cause of the cell injury, that is the hypoxia. Now, if we see the hypoxia longs for a longer period, okay, if it's persistence for longer period, hypoxia, or you can say the severe hypoxia. For example, let me show it over here. So, for example, the severe hypoxia for longer period, as a result, we will see the deficiency of oxygen, that will be too much. Ultimately, we know that the ATP definitely that will be also less. Okay, in these cases. Now we'll talk about whatever the problem we'll see over here, that will leads to ultimately the necrosis. That will leads to ultimately necrosis. So two type of the irreversible cell injuries we got over here. One we got apoptosis, and another we got necrosis. Okay, and their etiologies are different okay, from each other. Now I'll talk about in general things what in terms of the irreversible cell injuries. Okay, let me write it over here. Now think about one thing. Whenever we know that ATP is less, I already said in on video in the reversible cell injury that for example there is a cell. Okay. Now within the cells we know that what? There is a presence of sodium potassium ATPase. Okay. In reversible cell injury I already talked about it. Now for example I will talk about here the different one. Okay. Now see, for example is the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Yes sir. And membrane we are having also on top of the transporter. Okay, for the calcium ions. Okay, here also calcium. So generally we know within the cells the concentrations, that means within the cytoplasms, okay, of the cell, the concentration of the calcium is keeping low. Okay, why? Because if the calcium level within the cytoplasm is high, then what type we will see the unusual activations of the different types of the enzymes. That is not good for the health. Now, whenever the calcium is over here, we need to throw out the calcium from here to here. Similarly, we need to just take the calcium from cytoplasm to the where within the sarcoplasmic reticulum. From the physiology link, you know these things. Okay. So here we will see in these cases for muscular contractions, this calcium should be required for these things, and the calcium that should be thrown out because we don't want to keep the more amount of the calcium within the cells. In both cases, we need to use the ATP. Okay. Both of the processes are ATP dependent. Here we will see it will get converted into ATP plus PI. Now you know it's the ryanodine receptors over here. So ATP that will be also required over here. ADP plus PI. Okay. Now see, if if the severe hypoxia is over here, for example, in terms of the irreversible cell injury, the ATP is what? The ATP less. So whenever the ATP will be less, so definitely this, this what transporter will be not able to work. Along with that, this also the ryanodine receptors will be not able to work. As a result, the calcium will be not able to go from the cytoplasm to the what? Sarcoplasmic reticulum. The calcium will not be able to go from the cytoplasm to outside of the cell. As a result, within the cell, the concentrations of the calcium that will be high. Okay, so we can say that the calcium level, that will be higher where? Within the cell. Okay, intracellular calcium level will be high. Now, whenever the calcium level will be high, whatever the problem we can face over here in terms of the cell, whenever the calcium level will be higher, now see, now whenever the calcium level that will be higher, now see one thing, the calcium, they are having what? They are having that, affinity for the mitochondria. For example, let me show it over here. Okay. Anyway, it's not anatomically correct, but just think it's the mitochondria. Now this calcium is having too much affinity for the mitochondria. Now the calcium will come over here and they will form, okay, mitochondrial densities. They will form mitochondrial densities. Mitochondrial densities. Now try to think, in the normal conditions, what we just saw that in the reversible cell injury, the mitochondria was not able to work. So there was what? ATP. The ATP depletion was also there over here. Now whenever the mitochondrial densities will be over here, for example, just think about in this way that two persons is there, one is thin, one is fat. So definitely the fat persons will be not able to work that much with compared to the thin persons. The same thing whenever the mitochondrial density is see over here, in these cases the mitochondria will be not able to work properly. Okay, so further we will see the ATP depletions. The first cause for the irreversible cell injuries, for the mitochondrial densities, we will see further depletions of the ATP. So again we will see further ATP depletion. These things. And whatever the things, whenever I already said, whenever the intracellular calcium level will be increased, so there will be unusual enzymatic activations. So the different types of the enzymes that will be activated. Why? They need the calcium to get activated. Okay. So whatever the enzymes will get over here, first, so we will say unusual enzymatic activations. Now if you see in terms of the different types of the enzymes, first of all, let's talk about the lysosome. Okay, so if you see in terms of the lysosome, what does it do? See, whenever the lysosome will be stimulated just like this, it will what? Secrete the different types of the what? Granules, and it will just do autolysis of the cell. That means it will cause the cell death. Okay. Now if you talk about in terms of the on top of the enzyme, for example the phospholipase, okay, we just talk in terms of the phospholipase. Now phospholipase. Now where is presence of the phospholipase, you will see basically it what? It contains the cell membrane. So we will see, for example, is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is normally just like this. But whenever the phospholipase will be activated unusually, that will cause the what? The breakdown of the membrane. So cell membrane that will be get damaged. The cell membrane damage will be over here. Okay, or we will get breakdown. Now the third type of the enzyme, what is the nuclease? Okay, that's most important one. So let me show the nuclease over here. So whatever the problem we'll see in terms of the nuclease. So whenever we will see the nuclease is getting activated, okay. For example, is the normal nucleus. Okay, normal nucleus. So three types of the conditions you can see over here. The nucleus may be just doing this. The nucleus may be found in this way. This is known as pycnosis. Whenever the nucleus will be activated, okay, just like this is the normal conditions, and it's the after getting injury, it's just like this pycnosis. Okay. And we can see, for example, just like this also. That is known as karyorrhexis. Karyorrhexis. Okay. The third one we can get also from here. The what total nucleus that will get degraded just like this. Okay. So this is known as karyolysis. Karyolysis. Okay. Now see one thing. If we just see that what the nucleus or different nucleus within the what the gel electrophoresis patterns, then whatever the changes we will see. For examples, we just say over here. We are doing the what gel electrophoresis over here. If you see the nucleus over here clearly for the normal nucleus, if the nucleus is normally there is no pathological aspect over here, we'll get a single band just like this normal. But whenever we'll see there is on top of the necrosis over here or irreversible cell injury, we'll see in these cases we'll get just like this. This is known as smear pattern. The band will be just like this. This is known as smear pattern. Smear pattern. Okay. Now I'll just give you examples on the basis of reversible injury and irreversible cell injury. Okay. Now let me give the examples over here. Now think out one thing. We know that within the heart there is presence of contact of the enzyme that is known as troponin. Okay. That is getting elevated in terms of mitochondrial. What in terms of the MI. Okay. Myocardial infections. Now for example is the heart over here. Okay. Now we know within the heart there is presence of on top of the enzyme that is known as troponin. Now there is the various types of the troponin. We know that troponin I, troponin T, but I am not going in details for that. For in general I am writing it over here troponin. Okay. Now for example if we see that the heart in this way, just try to understand. Let me use different color for it for a better understanding purpose. If you see the size of the what is getting increased over here, and if we see that troponin level within the blood, that is normal. That means what we are just seeing what the increasing size of the cells. Okay, increasing the size of the cells over here. So in these cases basically we will see where in terms of the angina pectoralis we will see. That means we will see in terms of the reversible cell injuries. The enzyme that will not leak out because there is no cell membrane damage over here. Whatever the enzymes that will be within the what? Heart, then there will be no enzyme of the troponin over here that will come within the circulation. Okay. So we'll see over here, there is the reversible cell injury. And for examples, another type of the case we are seeing over here, where we are getting a cell, the what? Breakdown or the damage of the cell membrane over here. Okay. In these cases, we will see there is a chances for the troponin to come out from the heart within the circulation. So in these cases, we will see the troponin level that will be elevated within the circulation. Okay. So in these cases, we will see where in terms of the myocardial infarction. That is what? Irreversible. This is the irreversible one. This is irreversible. And what about this one? This is the reversible, where we just gave the example in terms of the angina pectoralis. But in terms of what? The irreversible myocardial infarctions, just for better understanding, I just show with this example over here. Okay. So that's all for the irreversible cell injury. See you in the next video, where we will talk about especially about the necrosis, the types of necrosis, how it comes, in the etiologies, all these things. So thanks for watching. If you just do like the video, please do press the bell icons, and if you didn't subscribe till now, please do subscribe. And if you don't understand any point, let me know in the comment sections. I'll help you guys with my level. Thanks for watching. Number